I am on. You know it.
I'm on. Estoy on.
Hi guys, I'm on. Ci sono.
I'm on. Je suis on.
I am on. मैं हूँ.
I'm on. Ich bin on.
สวัสดีค่ะ ไปด้วยกันนะคะ
I'm on. Estoy conectado.
I'm on. Estamos on.
Saya on.
I'm on. Let's go.
Let's be
Let's be
on.
on.
Hello, my name is Chris White from FruitNet Media, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's Asia Briefing. Asia Briefing is our brand new series of 6 special broadcasts that we're putting together here at FruitNet to give you the lowdown on what's hot in Asia at the moment. At Asia Briefing, I'm going to be joined down the line from our new broadcast studio here in London with my team of expert editors and analysts who live and breathe Asia every day of the year. And of course, we're going to be joined by you, businessmen and women from across the world of fresh fruits and vegetables, people like you who deal with Asia or who want to deal with Asia. Now, today at Asia Briefing, we're going to be talking technology. Of course, it's a vital part of the fresh fruit and vegetable business today and tomorrow, and it's always been on the agenda of our own Asia Fruit Congress, as well as at every edition of Asia Fruit Logistica. You'll always find the latest technology solutions right across the show floor at Asia Fruit Logistica, and of course in the separate information track which we call Smart Horticulture Asia. Our editorial director Asia, John Hay, has been talking to Harry Schmeitz, the guy behind Smart Horticulture Asia, to find out what he's planning for this year's tech program that's going to be streaming live at Asia Fruit Logistica on from the 18th to the 20th of November.
Hi, I'm John Hay, Asia Editorial Director at FruitNet Media International. And FruitNet manages the event programme for Asia Fruit Logistica On, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Harry Schmeitz, the Chairman of Smart Horticulture Asia. Smart Horticulture Asia is one of 3 excellent hall forums at Asia Fruit Logistica. It's all about disruptive technology in horticulture, and like the rest of the event, it's going online this year. Today, we're going to talk about the programme for this year's Smart Horticulture Asia. Harry's going to provide his expert analysis of some of the big trends, opportunities and challenges for high-tech horticulture. He's also going to bring us some short interviews with key leaders in the tech revolution who are speaking at his event. Now, the use of technology in every business has grown since the onset of COVID-19. It's all part of this shift from an analog to a digital world. So we're excited to hear what Harry has to say about the big developments he'll be covering at Smart Horticulture Asia and about how technology is changing the fresh produce business. Smart Horticulture Asia takes place over 3 days of Asia Fruit Logistica On, the 18th, 19th, 20th of November. It broadcasts live between 1 and 3 p.m. Singapore China time each day, and the sessions are also available to view on demand afterwards. There are different themes to each day, and before we talk to Harry, Here's a quick overview of the speaker program he prepared as a scene setter to our chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Harry Smites. I'm the chair of Smart Horticulture Asia, the 5th edition already this year in Asia on how technology is disrupting our agriculture and how especially horticulture industry. The first day we will focus on vertical farming. Vertical farming is a very interesting development in our industry. The question in the first session will be, is city farming an answer to supply lockdown cities with fresh vegetables? That's an interesting talk I want to discuss with Art van der Kreke of GrowX in Amsterdam, Grace Lim of Urban Farming Partners in Singapore, and Friso Klok of Rijkswaan, Vietnam. The second edition on the first day will be on the state of vertical farming. How is the business case developing? Because the question is, can you make money with it? Interesting guests are Martin Weber of Infarm in Berlin and Professor Jasper den Beste of the Vertical Farm Procedure in Singapore, the first one in Singapore vertical farm. Then we move on, the second day. The second day, unmanned growing concepts is the basics of our sessions. The first will be on autonomous growing. Can autonomous growing secure the growing conditions without staff visiting? I discussed this with Darren Keeler of Autogrow in Auckland and Bram Koppert of Priva in Shanghai, two very market-leading companies in this issue. The next session will be on robot harvesting, because robot harvesting is one of the critical aspects of unmanned growing concept. Does it work? When does it come? I have interesting talks with Roel Andres of Fieldwork Robotics in Cambridge and Mr. Kato and Edwin van Laarhoven of Denza Agritech Solutions in Japan. Let's see how far we are with our robots in our industry. Then, the last day, I focus on interoperable data-driven supply chain, connecting the dots in fruit and vegetables, and interesting developments there are over there. I discussed this with Joseph Mark Boole of Poorchecks USA, Adrian Theo of Demuto in Singapore, and a special session with Yvonne Trell of the Jupiter Group of their business case as data as a strategy in their company. It would be my pleasure to see you online in Asia Food Logistica and be my guest.
Thanks for that intro, Harry, and thanks for joining us from the Netherlands today. Welcome to this special episode of Asia Briefing.
Thanks, John. Nice seeing you again from far away Melbourne. So the internet is faster than planes are on this moment in this COVID times, but great to meet.
Great. Now, you've clearly got an excellent program with many international experts lined up to speak, and it's great to have you here to discuss it. This year's program is all about unmanned growing concepts. Can you tell us what that means? What are the different categories you're covering, and how do they all fit together?
Yeah, you know, I always look in an overall concept for the program of Smart Horticulture Asia. And what we see now is that we are going into the next phase of new technologies. Smart technology is moving on, and the combination of technology is now the next challenge, I think. We see a lot of things getting in vertical farming, which is even maybe, I think, moving into greenhouse. I call it a controlled growing environment. If it's a farm, if it's a retail store, if it's a greenhouse, that doesn't matter to me. Then we see a lot of developments on autonomous growing, growing without a grower. I think the proofs have been done with that, with the Tencent trial in the Netherlands. And then the next step is we move into robotics. More and more robotica is coming into our industry. Of course, we have plenty of sensors and vision technology coming in, and all those things are coming together when what I call an unmanned growing concept, and facility where you can grow crops unmanned, where everything is ready to roll. And I think that's an amazing opportunity. We are challenging, but that's also a challenge because the connector between all those things is data, and data will be my last issue in the session on Friday on interoperable data, because we have to bring all these technologies together to make this concept real.
Great. So you've outlined the core unmanned growing concept, and that's really a great way for us to structure our discussion today. We can focus on these three key areas. First, vertical farming. Second, the autonomous growing and robotics. And third, data-driven supply chains. And let's begin with a look at the theme of your opening day, urban farms and vertical farming. And you'll be exploring the role for urban farming, not just across Europe, but in Asia too. The 21st century has been described as the century of cities, and Asia is really driving this global urbanization trend. Singapore was the original location for this year's Asia Food Logistica before COVID forced us to go online. And the city-state is becoming something of a hub for vertical farming development. The Singapore government has announced its 30 by 30 vision. It's an ambitious plan, of course, to meet 30% of its own nutritional needs by 2030 with the aid of vertical farming. Now, Harry, you've just spoken to Professor Jasper Den Besten, one of the pioneers of vertical farming in Europe. And Jasper's also a partner in Proceed, a vertical farm startup in Singapore, one of the first in Asia. He'll be talking more about that at Smart Horticulture Asia. And you spoke to him about the status of vertical farming, the business case for it. Let's see what he had to say.
Professor Den Beste, good afternoon and welcome in this short introduction program of Smart Horticulture Asia. It's my pleasure to talk to you on vertical farming. I know you were the first in the world who started with this idea in a small equipment factory down near your university, and it's my great pleasure to have you here. On this moment, you're also working as a professor, as a partner of the entrepreneur in the vertical farming in Singapore. So it's my great pleasure to talk to you on vertical farming. My first question for you is, on which level are we now with vertical farming? Is there a business case? Is there an opportunity for the market to do it? Please, your command.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Smites. Maybe a small correction. I think the credits for the first vertical farm should go to some Japanese professors, like Professor Kozai. But I think in Europe, I'm one of the first, of course. My idea about vertical farming is that it can be profitable, but the challenge is to look for a market that's big enough so that you can scale up and reduce the cost price, and you find a market that is willing to pay the price that the products deserve. You include in your calculations all the costs of communication, marketing, and sales, because that can be quite an awful lot. You have to realize that big supermarket organizations have a very efficient and cost-effective way of marketing and sales. And from a small farm, the cost will always be higher. And I think that if you look at the market and you start there, if you find a market where you can get the right price, and then start to invest and produce, then you work in the right order. But often, and also bigger farms start producing and then marketing and sales. And then you become a player of the supermarket organizations, and they will squeeze the price, of course.
Okay, interesting opinion. Take into your account the marketing of the premium of the vertical farm. That's what you are saying, I think. Jasper, what is the biggest challenge you think is vertical farming has now to get it to the next level in our industry?
I think there is a series of challenges, and maybe make a short list. The first one is the variety choice. My opinion is that vertical farmers often pick out a certain crop, but forget to select the right variety. And the difference in production between varieties of the same crop can be a factor 2 or a factor 3. And selection of the best variety goes much more faster and is much cheaper than the selection and development of the best light recipe or cultivation recipe. Second one is the investment price. I think many vertical farms are far too expensive, especially when you have to earn back the money in an investor's market that's very impatient in the sense that depreciation has to be done in a couple of years, let's say 3 to 5. Then vertical farming becomes very expensive. So there's a need for an affordable system that still works fine. And at the moment, vertical farms are being built for over 1,000 euros per square meter for one single square meter. And I think we should pay no more than, or at least not much more than, a really high-tech greenhouse. So we talk about prices of 500 euros and maybe up to 800 or 1,000, but there really is a max in order to be able to earn it back. So that's still a challenge. Then, of course, energy. But yeah, you can talk about energy saving, but you can also look for locations where energy is cheap. Let's say in the United Emirates, electricity is almost for free. Right. And when you start a vertical farm in Singapore or Germany, electricity prices are high, unfortunately. Then I think there's this, let's say, data-driven production from vertical farms. Vertical farm is an ultimate cultivation system. So if you want to go into data-driven horticulture, that's relatively easy in a vertical farm because you can control all the cultivation factors and make an exact planning of numbers and grams per square meter per unit of time. So you don't need to have waste anymore. You can sell all the product if you have a good system for that. And finally, labor, that's really a cost factor. Many also bigger farms work in multiple layers with scissors lift, and a lot is not automated. And I think automation is a solution for the bigger farms that have a monoculture, and smaller farms should get affordable robots. And I think robots get smarter in a couple of years. So you can wait for them to work in your farm.
Okay, so it starts with the crop, then it's going to right sizing of technology, and then at the end there was a lot of work to do for the guys of the unmanned growing concept. Jasper, thank you for these insights in your talk. We see each other in a few weeks back in our event on Smart Horticulture Asia. Looking forward to talk with you then on what you're doing in Singapore with Proceed Vertical Farm. Thank you for this talk, and thank you.
That's a great insight to some of the opportunities and challenges facing vertical farming from Jasper. And we look forward to hearing more from him at Smart Horticulture Asia. Harry, one of the key hurdles I wanted to come to that Jasper raised was the cost of setting up vertical farms and running them. It was once seen as a prohibitively expensive way of growing, but it's becoming more affordable now with the growing availability of technologies that support it, such as LED lights. We also see a lot of venture capital pouring into the sector now, and that's fueling expansion. Tell us about some of the success stories in vertical farming and the key drivers of the expansion. Some of these farms are coming into retail stores now, aren't they?
Yeah. There is a huge development going on, but and that's nice to see. One of my guests will be Inform from Berlin. They started a very small vertical farm of 2 square meters in a retail store, and they just get international funding of $170 million, John, to roll out their vertical farming concept in retail stores. And that's what we see happening. New investors are getting into our industry, and they are delivering not everything we have to do. They will never be changing our industry total, but they are delivering also some experience to the consumers into the stores and things like that. And that's an amazing development. And they know they work completely on an unmanned vertical farm. And that's where we see steps. I see other companies in the world doing it. So for me, it's not the question if this is coming. For me, it's a fact it's coming. And it's the way we have to wait when. It'll take some time, but I'm convinced we get there.
Great. And you've got a movie to share of Inform's work.
Yeah, we have. We want to show you a short movie on how Inform is looking at the world of farming in a retail store.
Great. Let's have a look at that. Well, Inform's expansion is a really interesting case study of an urban farming network with a very short supply chain. They're as I understand it, developing in supermarkets, schools, restaurants, DCs, hospitals. We understand they're now also looking to expand their product range beyond lettuce, herbs, and microgreens. And that brings us to the final question on vertical farming. It's been used mainly for growing leafy greens, but you'll also be looking at Smart Horticulture Asia at what crops are next. What advances are you seeing to grow new crops in vertical farms, Harry?
There is a lot happening with those new crops, but it still is a challenge because we see at least leafy greens, and I don't believe we get an apple tree into a vertical farm. We will need some CRISPR technology to make that happening, but I don't believe in that. But we see more crops incoming. I think the first crop I really believe in is strawberries. Strawberries can be grown in vertical farms. I think there are some problems with the bees, which have the pollination, but I think it's possible to grow strawberries in vertical farms. And that will be a great next step. So that will be the first fruit which is grown. And of course, a lot of companies are looking at tomatoes and other things. But yeah, you have to produce some kilograms, and that's an issue in this farm because I don't know if you know it, but an average tomato plant in the Netherlands in a higher area crop is getting 17 meters. And
wow.
That's a problem. How are you going to manage a plant like that in a vertical farm?
So it will be a kind of development of hybrid systems then, where the vertical farm and the higher tech glass houses and so on, those kind of technologies merge.
Yeah. For instance, a small vertical farm for propagation of young plants in Africa. So you get a very high quality of your young plants, your young banana plants, and then bring them out to the field instead of a low quality of plants. And when your starting material is better than you have now, you get a better crop. So there are a lot of hybrids, I think we will see. And they will go both sides, farming bringing into the stores and bringing into the cities. And then the other way, vertical farming as an aspect of the regular growing systems in our world. Yeah.
Now, on day 2 at Smart Horticulture Asia, you're going to be looking at autonomous growing with leaders in the field like Priva and AutoGrow. we've seen a lot of exciting development in this field, particularly in the production of greenhouse crops like tomatoes. Can you briefly, if that's possible, explain how these autonomous growing systems work and outline some of their key advantages and the breakthroughs they're achieving?
The day two will be on what I call unmanned. That's a combination of growing and autonomous growing on robotics. That's where the challenge is. And the first part will be on autonomous growing. Autonomous growing is that you take the grower out of control in growing his crops. You give your control on your growing to an AI system, an artificial intelligence system, where the grower is not in control, but the data and the sensors are making the decisions to grow the crop. And I think that's possible. That's shown in the Netherlands with some cases. And you can be clear that when you are a grower, you maybe can take a look at 5 sensor points. Your imagination, your brains can have maybe 5 sensor points in the greenhouse. But when you have an AI system, it can calculate about 10,000, 100,000. It doesn't matter to them. And then you get complete different settings of your greenhouse. And I'm convinced that based on data and sensoring and vision technology, a computer can grow a better crop. And that's the amazing thing what is happening in our industry. And of course, we have to learn a lot about that. We are not so far yet. But the first sites that we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, successful, systems like that, it's not just a case of, artificial intelligence to make them work. They need a sort of combination of factors, don't they? Science, data science and technology. And of course, you can have all these sensors and advanced systems looking after your crops, but you need to link that data to learn how to improve yields, for instance. That's going to be one of the issues your speakers will be explaining, won't they?
Yeah. How can you bring this intelligence into the greenhouse and also make a combination of, what is the not just the technology innovation, but also the system innovation you need to make it possible to go like this way.
Now, continuing this theme of unmanned growing, robotic harvesting is also on the program. Now, robotics and automation have already had a transformative impact in the pack house. We've seen it with grading systems and so on. We've yet to really see that revolution reach the field. I guess with robotic harvesting, it's a lot more complicated to get a robot to harvest fruit and vegetable crops efficiently to work on farm. But there are now existing players and new entrants working fast to make it a commercial reality. One of the companies working hard on this is Fieldwork Robotics in the UK. And their CEO, Rui Andres, is speaking at Smart Horticulture Asia. Harry, you spoke to him this week about what's been happening. Let's hear what he had to say.
Let's do that. Rui, welcome here in this short introduction program of Smart Horticulture Asia. It's my pleasure to have you over here. I know you are a startup in robotics in our industry. And my first question for you is, why a startup in robotics in horticulture? Can you explain that? How did you get in this?
Well, first of all, horticulture has been behind other industries, and one of the main explanations for that is, unlike, for example, automotive, you don't have something on one place that you need to put in another place or to install in a defined position. And that has been made the agriculture a very tough and challenging environment to work into. But with the introduction of new sensors and new cameras with better resolution, we are now seeing a lot of companies entering this space. And the agriculture, in fact, is now becoming an entry point for automation. And it's very attractive to see that most of the players in this industry have very low margins. A lot of them lack of the price power. So what they are left is with the static price, but increasing costs, which basically means in the long term, their margin will be under pressure. And as we have seen with COVID, food is a critical part of our lives. So we need to guarantee that the growers will keep existing, will try to become more efficient, and a way to bring that efficiency besides working on the different species of plants is to start tackling what can be automatized from the robotics or other ways of putting machinery in the fields.
Okay, interesting view. So the challenge is horticulture, but you made your challenge for me the almost challenge. You choose to start your first robot with raspberries. When I want to take a raspberry in my hand, I don't manage it to get the fruit of it on my hand. How can a robot do that? How can you explain that? What's the choice?
Yes. So
it's easier, or a banana, I think.
Yeah, it's not the easiest challenge to start with, but it's a very interesting one. First of all, because raspberries are growing at 22% a year, which makes it an attractive market in terms of growth. In terms of size, it's already a sizable market. So we are discussing roughly 4 billion just between Europe and the US. And in Asia, we are starting to see these fruits to gather a lot of interest as well. It's a very delicate fruit, which means what we are trying to do is to address challenges that other people were not able to address so far. And by starting with the most sensitive crop, it's easier to go to easier crops than starting from the easiest crop and go to most difficult crops. Of course, each of the strategies has different challenges. We are not saying we are better than anyone else, but so far we have been able to demonstrate that our robot is able to harvest fresh raspberries without causing any damage or bruising. And this is gathering the interest of a lot of producers. And hopefully we'll keep the development and we'll have a product, an alpha product by next year.
Okay, making the impossible possible, I think. So we will hear more of you at your talk at Smart Horticulture Asia. Thanks for this short introduction. Thank you again, and I see you at the end of November in the Smart Horticulture Asia event on robotics. Thank you, Guy, and good luck with your moving on in this unbelievable experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Harry. That's a really interesting case study from the UK where issues like Brexit have only compounded the problems of finding agricultural labour. Now let's turn to another case study, this time from kind of outside the industry and on a much bigger scale. We've got a video from Denso Robot. Great movie. Harry, tell us what's special about what's happening in this movie.
Yeah, John, what I want to show you with those two movies are two amazing things. Let's take a second back to fieldwork robotics. Amazing to start your work on raspberries. Can you imagine you can pick a raspberry? I think that's still amazing. But when we go back into Denso, you see there that a company which is established in Japan, who is the main business is building cars, is stepping into our industry to make robots to yield crops. And that's what you see in that thing. And they use standard components. So the basic technology they used is developed for building cars. They add AI models and systems of crops to it, and then they move on with that. And that's where we see those big companies, because it's a very big companies, stepping into our industry, building their own research station to research with their robots. But you hear what I say, they don't go to a grower, can I try a little bit? No, they build their own research stations, greenhouses, and they move on. And they use basic components which have been proven technology in other areas. You see in the movie The Greek, which is using the transport system, that's a proven system in automobile factories around the globe. So bring this technology to our industry is making that there are coming huge opportunities from outside our industry, bringing technology in which can help us, but we have to be aware that they do the good things with this knowledge and make the things we need. That's another way of the challenge.
I mean, obviously with investment and expertise like this behind it, robotics looks set to become a commercial reality sooner than some of us might have thought. Great. Now, your final day at Smart Horticulture Asia looks at interoperable data-driven supply chains. It's quite difficult to say that. Hopefully, it's easier to understand. Just to bring it down to basics, can you explain what these interoperable data-driven supply chains are?
Yeah, I can do that. I have here something for you. You see it? You see the nice thing? It's an apple, huh? And now tell you to me, what do you pay for this apple?
Probably 30 cents, 40 cents.
30 cents. It's an organic one.
Oh, okay. Maybe 80, 90 cents then.
Why? There is a burst on the underside of it, so you wouldn't pay more than 2 cents for it.
Yeah.
What I want to show you, John, is what I tell a lot to growers and traders, that the product we produce, the commodities we made, the apples and things like that, their value is based on the data of the production. So without the data, the supply chains of fresh produce are getting worthless. If you don't know where it's grown, you don't get a certificate for it, you don't get your global gap, you don't get your organic, you don't are allowed to put a label on it, you don't are allowed to ship it to China because they want to know exactly where this pear is coming from. So data is driven our supply chains. And that's what we see, is that not only the data on one area of the supply chain, so at grower level or at trader or at packing station or at otherwise a shipping company, but the integration of these data flows, that's the future of our industry.
Now, you've got an interesting case study at Smart Horticulture this year of a company doing just that, making data, putting it at the heart of their strategy. Tell us more about what's happening there at Jupiter.
Yeah, what you see is that Jupiter made a collaboration with a Singapore company called Immuto, which is a blockchain company which has a platform to share data into the complete supply chain. And they not make only that connection, but I see in all things they do, they make that part of the strategy to go to market. And that's an amazing thing to see. It's, I think, one of the first companies who is so sharp setting up this scene and doing this. And I think a lot of them will follow because it will be part of regular business, data sharing. And it's an amazing challenge to get there because it's not easy. It's not just say system, and a lot of our companies buy ERP systems and they know a lot about how difficult it is to get them running. And I think a supply chain management system is even more difficult to get running. Not technical, that can be a day, but functional so that it works. So I think this is a beautiful example, and I hope I'm very happy to hear more of them at the event.
Great. No, we look forward to hearing all about that. And how do you see these data-driven supply chains really disrupting our business moving forward?
Yeah, I see that it's disrupting. Maybe I should say the other way around. It's not only disrupting; it's part of your license to deliver. If you are not upgrading your company to that level of data sharing and machine to machine, I'm not talking about sending me a PDF of your invoice. That's not what I'm talking about. It's a machine to machine connection where I can see, okay, I have here your oranges. They are grown at field 17, and 3 days before yielding, they got this or that. That's the way of thinking. When Harry is talking about interoperable data, it's not about sending an email with a PDF or something like that. It's machine-to-machine connections making possible, and that's what you see more and more in regular work we do on the internet. We are used to log in with Facebooks on all kinds of systems. We are used that we go into a banking system and we can pay from one bank to the other. So make things interoperable. That will be the challenge, and that will also be the fear in the companies. Ooh, what is going on? Yeah, that's because a lot of our industry is what I call unaware unknown. They are unaware unknown what technology, and especially ICT technology, can bring to them.
Absolutely, a revolution in prospect. Now, on a final note, COVID-19 means Smart Horticulture Asia we'll be looking at all these themes in a very different format to previous years, and of course through a very different lens. How do you, Harry, see the pandemic propelling the development of high-tech horticulture?
It's speeding up. For instance, labor, robotics, there was no so much attention for robotics since the problem we see with COVID. We have the UK with foreign workers. We have the Netherlands with the same. We have countries we get closed. We have problems in that we have to speed up our supply chains. A nice example, I think, is traders who normally deliver their products to restaurants, to food service. Food service did get down, but the retail stores did get up. They were selling more than ever. But then they have to convert their data systems and their complete technology from food service oriented into retail oriented. And that's what you see, is that the flexibility and the technology they need for that will be getting so fast. It's an amazing time, I think, what COVID is bringing to our industry, because our product is fresh, is healthy. So I don't think we have any problems with the product. We have other markets, but the market share is not going down, I think. There are some exceptions if you are focused on growing for special restaurants and things like that, but that's a small part of our market. But the regular market is getting maybe bigger with COVID and more home working and things like that. So I think COVID-19 can bring us good, but yeah, our international traveling and things like that, yeah, when we see each other in person again, John, that will take some time. And yeah, maybe you have gray hairs then also, just like me.
Most likely. Harry, thanks very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about these fascinating developments in the business and about the fantastic program you've put together. We're looking forward to the live stream of Smart Horticulture Asia at Asia Fruit Logistica, and to hearing from all your great speakers. Thank you.
Welcome to Asia Fruit Logistica On. It's the fantastic new digital platform for you to do business in Asia this season. Register, log in, then click on any of the 4 buttons to find out more. Explore is our welcome page. It's full of recommendations of people you need to meet and events you need to attend. Our algorithm uses your profile and your activity on the platform to suggest what's best for you. Content is where you see the full program of Asia Fruit Congress On, every single hall forum, and all the presentations by our exhibitors. There's a lot going on. Meet is where your networking and your business meetings happen. It's at the heart of our platform. It's right where you need to be. My Schedule is your personalized timetable of all your meetings and events. Meet. Let's have a closer look at how to schedule your meetings. There are 2 ways to schedule your meetings. Option 1. Under For You, you see the people our algorithm suggests you really should meet. To request a meeting, simply click on the Meet button and submit your request. It's as easy as that. Option 2. Search for who you want to meet by company, people, product, or national pavilion. Choose the presenter you want to meet and send your meeting request. Simple. Under Company, a detailed company profile, product image, video, and the main presenters appear here. Our personal concierge follows up closely to increase the meeting confirmation rate. Your personal agenda is updated automatically. Meetings only take place with both parties' consent. As an exhibitor, you can start placing your requests from early October. At the designated meeting time on the 18th to the 20th of November, a video meeting takes place with one simple click. Our chat and video function are also working around the clock to take account of the time differences. Want to exhibit? Here are our 3 exhibitor packages. On Business. On Business is our entry-level package. It includes 3 media products with either video and product images. You can have 2 company representatives assigned as presenters in the platform, and each can schedule up to 30 meetings over 3 days. That's up to 60 meetings per company. Simple, effective, and affordable. On Business is the perfect solution for those getting started in Asia. On Premium. Suitable for a larger team, On Premium offers up to 6 media products of either video or product image and 6 company presenters, and each presenter can schedule up to 36 meetings over 3 days. That's more than 200 meetings per company. On Premium also provides a rotating banner under Meet and includes up-ranking of your company and presenter profiles. It means your details are profiled under Meet. On Corporate. On Corporate offers maximum exposure with up to 14 media products of either video or product image and maximum 20 presenters with an unlimited number of meetings. All the up-ranking features and rotating banner from On Premium, plus a 20-minute presentation on content. Special for this year is that all exhibitors can get free access to Asia Fruit Congress On. Our visitor pass costs €34 per person and grants access to Asia Fruit Congress On, hall forums, and unlimited meetings with exhibitors. Visitors with a voucher code get to register for free. Register now at Asia Fruit Logistica On. It's where the fresh produce business in Asia meets. Let's be on. See you in November.
So that's all we've got time for on today's Asia Briefing, a really fantastic program that they're preparing for Asia Fruit Logistica On. So join us next week at Asia Briefing when we'll be talking about everything that there is to know about the China market. Look forward to seeing you then.
Hi, my name is Laura Martin, and I'm in charge of subscriptions at Fruitnet. I want to tell you about Fruitnet's new digital magazines. They are free to download, and they offer a range of news, interviews, and industry analysis. You can access them online to read them live or download them to read them later. They work on your smartphone, your tablet, and your computer. If you subscribe already, just go to the App Store, Google Play, or desktop to download the app. If you want to become a subscriber, please get in touch. Email me on subscriptions@fruitnet.com. In the meantime, this is a short video that explains how the app works. It's really easy. So give it a try and happy reading!
Asiafruit has recently launched its new digital magazine. You can now read your favourite fresh produce business magazine and catch up on the latest news via your smartphone or tablet device. The new app allows you to share stories within your network and has a handy search function to filter news you're looking for. You can also download new and previous editions of Asiafruit to read them offline. All Asiafruit subscribers have access to the new Asiafruit app, and if you do not have a subscription, contact our team today to organise one. The new user-friendly digital edition has been created by the same people behind apps developed for The Economist, The Independent, and other leading publications. So don't wait any longer. Asiafruit app is now available to download free from the App Store and Google Play.
This is a story about dedication, about respect for nature and for people, about colleagues, partners, entrepreneurial spirit, seeds and vegetables. This is a story about sharing opportunities for growth and a healthy future. Growth forms the basis of life. Growth is in our genes. It creates chances, opens up worlds, new requirements, new tastes, new consumers. But growth brings challenges too. Or are they opportunities? Healthy growth is linked to sharing expertise, knowledge, and inspiration, sharing a passion for Mother Nature and all she produces, sharing the future